Welcome, everyone, to the Feminine Outliers podcast, your dose of fun, life advice, and experiences from two African professional women living and working in the Western world. We are your hosts, Choolwe and Zelda,
And Zelda was Sal.
and we are excited to have you here with us. Welcome back to another episode of the Feminine Outliers. How are you, Zel? How has been life? I know we haven't caught up for a little bit.
Life has been fun. Work was great. This last week of work was great because I had on average 13 patients. So I was chilling.
Oh, wow.
I had a resident with me as well, the third
Mm-hmm.
year. So
Right.
I definitely did enjoy this past week. The weather has been
Yeah.
really gloomy. It's supposed to be raining technically the
Oh,
whole week.
wow. That's interesting. Cambridge was actually pretty sunny, warm. Today is the first day, actually, it's been cloudy, but the whole week, if anyone has been in Cambridge in the UK, it was amazing. Got some ice cream. We definitely get ice cream when it's sunny. People just come out in general in the UK when it's sunny.
Often.
Yeah, no, that's true. I feel like Cambridge is a special place because it's in the driest part of the UK or one of the driest parts of the UK.
Mm.
So secretly, we don't get as much rain and we actually do get sunshine. And when it is cloudy, it feels like a bad day, just like everybody else where they get sun. So it's a little secret. So don't move here because the housing pricing is going up. This week has been rather lighter. I'm finishing up some project work and starting to see the end of that work. It has been more of a relaxing week.
Hmm.
So here we are. Now we are podcasting. Ta-da!
Finally. I know we've not been the most consistent, but it's just, guys, bear with us because we're going through a little growing hurdles. Is that what we call them?
Yes, growth. It's called growth. It's called reflection. It's called lifing. It's called adulting. I mean, there's so many things that we could describe it as. So but I find like you know me, I am always positive about these things. So the fact that we're doing this and we keep going, and honestly, for me, what gives me the zeal to keep going is when I see that people are checking us out, like people are downloading our episodes. And I hope you guys are getting something from what we're saying and it's helping
Hmm.
your life and things like that. So that's why we're doing what we're doing, right?
Right. Yeah, I agree.
So, for today's topic, speaking of our work, today has been, as we have said, this week has been light for us and it feels like a bit of a chill week. It's one of those times where you feel like, yeah, this is why I'm doing what I'm doing because it's great. But when I thought of like, what should we talk about today? I was thinking to myself, why don't we talk about the truths, like the realities of being in a STEM career,
Mm.
just because our work weeks don't actually look like this kind of week. They actually look more like survival weeks than just like easy breezy, beautiful, like, every day. And I'm sure some people, when they look at like you being a medical doctor and me being an engineer, they're like, wow, okay, maybe people are thinking high pay, luxurious life, or like this stability of like, wow, these people just do this every day and all they do is go home after that. I don't know, but I'm sure there is a heightened view of the careers that we have.
Hmm.
So people might want to be a part of it. But we are thinking, why don't we tell people what the realities are? Let's discuss the realities and then people can make their own judgments. If you're not in the industries that we are in, you can then make a decision about whether you want to join. You can relate to what we're saying or maybe not. And maybe you can share tips on how you make it through.
Hmm.
So, yeah, I am excited about this. All right, Zal. When I first brought up, let's talk about the unspoken truths, what was the first thing that came to your mind?
Oh.
Uh,
Oh, wait,
the-
could you explain the definition of STEM for people who.
ah, yes. So STEM. So STEM stands for science, technology, engineering, and mathematics?
Hmm.
Yeah. Is there medicine included?
I don't think
I
so.
guess. Okay. But I'm sure, I mean,
Let's Google
you've.
before we say
Okay, let's do that.
before we say something.
I have science, technology, engineering, and mathematics.
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
So STEM.
Yes. This is why we do this podcast. We learn every day. Is there a particular reason why?
I don't know. We should ask them.
Google, why isn't medicine part of STEM? Yeah? Because that is very interesting. Yeah, why is medicine not STEM? While medicine clearly involves significant amounts of science and technology, it's not always explicitly included within the STEM framework. Clearly, you guys are in science and you practice science. But maybe I should then clarify and say, okay, we're not just talking about STEM, but we're talking about careers that involve some level of, I guess, thinking and logic and also application of scientific principles, mathematical
Mhm.
principles, biological principles. So, all of that good stuff, that is what we're saying is the topic of the day. And I think there's just like a common thread with these kind of careers. So, that's where I'm coming from with that. Okay, now back to the question.
So do you want me to stick to medicine or do you want me to also stick to
Just talk about your own experience. I mean, you are a doctor. I know on this podcast we have talked about how you got to become one, your studies, and now you're in the profession and you're in it. So, yeah, like do you have any like what is it, or to rephrase it is, now that you're an attending physician, what are some of the things that people don't realize you experience?
I think I can start with one that is definitely going to cross over into both fields, like into STEM as well. It's just the
Mm.
level of competition involved, slash, that's
Mm.
all wrapped up in a lot of type A personalities.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, because I think that's also pretty similar.
Mm,
A lot of people who come into these fields are very type A, very, I wouldn't say neurotic, but kind of neurotic. But we kind of
mhm,
like have to get things done like on a schedule, get things done, get it all done. There's this
mhm,
element of perfectionism that comes into play. You're like, oh, should
mhm,
I be this, that? It's and then there's also a lot of competition in between people. And like
mhm,
it's who can do it better, oh, who can do it better, who has the better result. And I see that in medicine. Now I don't pay as much attention to it now
mhm,
that I'm attending, but certainly when
mhm,
I was in residency or training, you see the claws come out. Like people are very competitive because everyone's
mm,
trying to one up each other because you're trying to get, the better position, you're trying to get the better residency, you're trying to get the better job. And now as I
mhm,
work, you find that everyone is trying to, in a sense, like particularly like between specialties, like someone is
mhm,
really trying to like get a better one hand up on their specialty, or try, or they'll be like, no, this is what I did, and this is why I did it, and this is not my problem. You're the one who caused
mhm,
that problem or something. And there's a lot of that
mm,
competition kind of feeling that comes up, like because generally
mhm.
type A people are very competitive.
Yeah.
Um, so I feel like at least in medicine, it's worse when you're in training. And
Mm,
I think once you're done with training, it's better because you're kind of like
yeah.
settled in. But
Mhm,
when you're in training,
mhm.
imagine
Yeah.
you're already, and I think this is how the high functioningness comes into play because you're
Mhm,
already, everyone's already so high functioning. And then now you're
mhm,
adding an extra layer of competition onto that. And it's just
mhm.
like a bit stressful.
Yeah.
People from the outside may not understand, but tends to happen with a
Mhm.
lot of high functioning individuals who are in like
Individuals.
high
Yeah.
functioning careers, like STEM careers, medicine careers. I feel
Yeah. You're spot on. And there's something to do with that pride of being intelligent and then wanting to show your intelligence.
Mhm.
And then the interesting part about it is that we're all intelligent. Now it's like we are now focused on this like really small differences of like, because I have to admit, there are some of my colleagues who are very good at picking out even the smallest change in something. And I'm like, kudos to you. And then ultimately it's like, okay, thank you for spotting that. That's great. Like now, our project work is even better because now we're
Mhm.
all going to get credit for it because you've brought out your unique skill sets. And then yeah, I wonder if the training bit is because you don't know what's on the other side. But then you get out and you realize you're probably maybe earning the same salary or like similar, and the goals change and you just want to sit down and watch TV after, at least some of us, we want to relax and just enjoy our hard work. So I see it. And and I think I know like in engineering, probably one thing about it is because people are trying to maybe showcase their intelligence. You find that there isn't someone who's there to just lead people, like just to socialize, just to connect people's thoughts together. And so there's this
Mhm.
gap. And I'm always curious how people who are not, like, let's say, technical, like, let's say, people who are maybe in accounting or in finance or the receptionist or like the administrative assistant, like, I always wonder how they feel to be around all these, as you said, high functioning people. Because they must be like, it must be like a movie scene to them being like, what is going on here? But yeah, anyway, I like that one. That's a good one. You know what it made when you said high functioning? This is my other stickler for this industry. Because it's high functioning and there's a lot of thinking, I don't like how tired I am at the end of the day, even though it's not physical tiredness.
Mm.
It's just like, okay.
It's a
It's like
break.
literally, it's like I need to do something completely mindless. Like, I need to be so ridiculously mindless, whatever that even looks like. I need a time and zone of nothingness.
Mhm.
And it might sound weird to the listeners, but like, because your brain has been working all day long, problem solving, putting dots together. So that to me is one of the things. And so it's really hard for me to do other things that are like creative. I guess I could participate in some creative things,
Mhm.
but it's so hard to get onto another project right after you're done working because you're just like, it's like you're coming out of this haze. What's going on in the world? What's happening? Oh, what's on the news? You're even surprised. It's like you went from one world to another world. For me, that's a bit of an annoyance because sometimes it takes so much time. And if you have a week where you're going to work every day, it only, by the time you're finally back into the normal world, it's time to go to bed if you're doing a typical 9 to 5. And so then you wonder why people lack this ability to socialize or to
Mhm.
connect with other people. It's because of that, because we just don't have time to do that. So there we go.
I feel like even you saying it's just like, typical you like a 9 to 5 and then you don't have much time left over. I'm like, in my head, I'm like, I will take the 9 to 5
You're
because mine is 7 to 7.
yeah,
It's like you come home and it's like, oh, it's time to sleep. like, like
right.
you're so right. You need that time to do nothing. Like your brain needs
Mhm,
to. Now, for me, it also depends on what type of a day I'm having. Because if I have a lot of patience and if I have a lot of complicated cases that require a lot of thinking, then that's when I'll feel like, okay, my brain really just needs to like decompress. Because sometimes you're literally
mhm,
thinking, like going through in your head, like what needs to be done, what can I do? And I think the thing about it is for us, doctors are the last
mhm,
decision maker. So
mhm,
it's like all these people's quote unquote lives, frankly speaking, their
mhm,
lives are dependent on you.
mhm,
So it's that a lot of that thinking like, what am I going to do? Did I miss something? Particularly when you're not sure they're not going their
Mhm.
direction. That's when I think I get really, really mentally exhausted. Physical
Mhm.
exhaustion can also come into play because if it's a busy day and I'm running in and out in the hospital, like I'll also come
Mm.
home exhausted. But physical exhaustion, I think, happens less than the mental exhaustion. Because I mean, a lot of times I'm
Mhm.
just there trying to figure out brain work for me
Mm.
and help me figure out, particularly if I'm not able to, it's very frustrating. I think being, I don't know if I'm a type A.
Mm.
I don't know. I think I'm more of a mix of,
Yeah, I think you're more of a mix. I think I want to say I'm also more of a mix because I like to socialize. I would say so. Honestly, I think also when it comes to like showing off intelligence, I'm like, why? This is here. And then I guess there's something about status as well with that. But in a way, I look at intelligence as a tool. So if
um,
someone has helped me with something, I'm like, fantastic. Like literally, this was supposed to take me 3 hours, and you have literally given me the miracle pill. 1 hour. Let's move on. I think I focus on efficiency and effectiveness. I still learn, but yeah, it's different from yeah, it's just different from using it as like a point of status or identity because I think because of my own social life, I feel like I have other things to identify as and I'm happy with that. So, yeah.
I don't know what I was going to.
Oh,
There was
oh,
something I was going to say.
sorry. Did I lose your train of thought? You
Yeah,
said you're not a type A. You said you're not a type A and
it's gone.
I'm trying to think about what you're saying. You're not a
I don't
type
know. Maybe
A.
because, well, I think I was saying like during the type A personalities, if you're not able to accomplish something or if you're struggling with something, you take it really
Mhm.
hard on yourself
Oh, yes.
because you're like in your head, you're like, I
Good.
should know this.
Yeah.
Feels like if you need to ask for help from a colleague, like,
Oh,
oh,
yes.
I don't know what I'm doing. This patient has this and this symptoms. I'm not entirely sure what this is about. It feels weird because it's like in your head, it's like you should know it. That's how
Mhm.
the standard is for us.
And that's why I think I was saying that now for me, I see that as like I need to like my next goal is highest quality of work and efficiency.
Mhm.
So, because like for me, the problem with that, I know exactly what you're talking about. Initially, when I first started out, to me, it was like, yeah, I need to find all the answers. And then I would take long researching and take time. And then I realized I was like, oh my goodness, wait a minute. First of all, I've been seeing this same problem in my own lens throughout my own eyes. And then I realized, let me ask somebody else and then let them take their own stance on it and let me see what answer they come up with. So if they come up with this similar answer or whatever, then it means I'm on the right track. Because I've realized that you get to a point where you're in your own deluluness and you have to come out of it to say, "Okay, I've done. Can someone else check it?" So that's how I see it now,
Mm.
and then from there, I save time. I know exactly what you're talking about.
I feel like there's a fear of how is the other person going to perceive me for asking
Perceive.
this. I
Yes.
think that's part of the issue because it becomes a, particularly if, I don't know, it just depends on if they feel like you should know this. So you kind of get
Mhm.
worried if how someone else will perceive you or might consider you less competent because you're asking for help. But the thing is that as humans, no one knows everything. So
Mhm.
at some point in your career or something, you might need to ask for assistance or extra eyes or something like that. And it's so I think for me, what I've realized is I'd rather just ask because
Mhm.
if there's something that's bothering me and I don't know the answer, there's a reason for it. So I need to go
Right.
back and read a little bit more.
Mhm.
100% do that. But if I need to ask for the help, just ask for it. Think I've gotten myself to now because it's just I can't afford to let pride be a thing because I could be
Yes.
messing with someone's life.
No,
That's
absolutely.
ultimately.
No, absolutely. Hey, and that's really good. And this is the funny thing about it is that if I Google the statistics and how many doctors are in the world, shortage. Like there's a shortage of doctors, there's a shortage of nurses, engineers.
Mhm.
So it's almost like in our own group, we're fighting with each other, like we're competing with each other. And it's like the rest of the world is like, "Oh, wow, you're so smart, you do this." And then we're like, "No, but I'm not as smart as this other person." And it's like, "No, that's your little world. Like your little tiny world." Because technically, right? Like even when you are in the hospital, you are still a doctor, just like the other doctors.
Doctors, yeah.
So it's just it's I think it's yeah, I totally agree with you. And unfortunately it probably creates also imposter syndrome or
Mhm.
things like insecurity in people who, maybe like if you're a junior staff, like I don't know how residents feel or somebody who's just starting. I'm sure it feels like, oh, I'm not as smart as that doctor or something like that. So, oh, I'm not as smart as that other person. If people are not strong in themselves, it might start creating that feeling of like, I don't belong.
Mm.
I remember actually when I was just a junior engineer, I remember when, like, let's say if it was my manager or someone even more senior, like when we would be in a meeting and when they ask a simple question that is like, oh, just do this. Or even better yet, when the person hosting the meeting is like a leader and then they don't know how to turn on the projector or something. And then they're like, so how does this work? And you're like, wait, how are you running the whole department? Or like, how are you running the whole company? And it's like, those moments would always make me feel like, oh, if he can ask, then I'm good. Like,
But that's because you saw a moment of vulnerability there. Sometimes these people on the top or whatever are very good at hiding moments
mm,
of vulnerability. Like they might not know something, but the way they hide it, you might not
mm,
realize it unless you can read between the lines. And so that becomes like, because you saw that, but some people don't. And so you live your life working in this high functioning space where you think that having a small mistake is an issue, but you don't know the mistakes your bosses made in the past.
mm,
You never know. Maybe they
right.
don't talk
That's
about
true.
it or they're very good at hiding it. One of those things
Yeah.
which, like, I think one, talking to like people who you're close, like who are kind of in a similar profession, and knowing or
Mhm.
joining a group and realizing that some of the problems you have are common is very helpful. You might,
Yeah.
and then you realize a lot of people are having the same issues. And then you also realize that some people will be open enough to be like, yeah, I'm a boss now, but like I made big mistakes when I was a junior.
Mhm.
But you have
Right.
to open your like communities like that to explore because you can honestly be stuck in your own bubble thinking that you're the only one struggling.
Right. No, that is very true. I think I saw something on Instagram where the person was giving a tip, like start making friends with senior people instead of your peers. Like obviously peers, it becomes natural because you're in this at the same level. But then you start to get to hear stories of how they started or where they came from or even
Mhm.
their personal lives. And then you start to see how human they are because there is pedestal bias or something when somebody's senior or something like that. But yeah.
A fun way of, okay, this is how I do it. But if you feel intimidated by someone, maybe they
Mm.
have an intimidating aura, maybe they're super confident or whatever. And if you feel like it's going to affect how you interact with them or something, just imagine them pooping because every human poops. And then suddenly
Yeah.
it'll just go downhill because you just realize, nah, they're just another human.
Now that's me smiling in a meeting being like, "Why are you smiling, Jolie?" Like, "Oh, yeah." That's funny. No, I like that. I like that. But you know what? Another thing, speaking of this idea of being highly intelligent or being so specialized, the thing the other thing that I've realized is it's so hard to transition out of that thinking because
Mm,
even if you ask us like how long did it take us to get used to podcasting, like even the idea of being able to do something outside. I know I want to say to some extent we started off well, like it wasn't that bad because obviously we can pick things up easily. But the idea to be disciplined, to understand how to market things, I mean, marketing, and we're still learning. It's such, and sometimes I blame that doing something and then getting a solution and then that's it.
mhm.
But Like when you're doing something like a podcasting or a side gig or a business, the skill set is different from the sort of hard science skill set. First of all, you have to be open to failure. How many times have we had bloopers for the podcast? And then how many times remember the times when we did recordings and they didn't come out great and we were so
Yeah,
mad
I think it was times.
and we were so mad about it. And it was like it was so frustrating. But then over time, that sort of like failure thing just went away. Like it was one of those
Mhm.
things where I remember I failed my driving license test here in the UK. And then I just was like, okay, I'll just do another one, move on. Even though it like stings a little, but I think that just sets you up for being like this highly skilled individual, but in one area.
Yeah,
And and then you try going outside your area and you're like, oh gosh, I'm not built for other things, I guess.
that's the problem with part of the like highly skilled professionals and stuff like that because we're trained again type A. One of the issues is because you're a perfectionist. So like
Mm,
for me, and I know this is something that you've done a better job at than I have. Like I feel like there's certain
mm.
things that we've not done well with the podcast, and I'm really rumorating on it. Like,
You're
practically
still
making and that's how that type of mentality can actually prevent you from succeeding. If
Mhm,
everything to be perfect before you actually do stuff, you're never gonna get anywhere. You have to just
mhm.
start and then sometimes figure it out as you go along. So
Right.
the whole thing of being
Yeah.
perfectionist, it holds us back as highly skilled professionals because when you're trying other new things, I mean, yeah, we've trained for years to be where we're at right now in our different professions. You have to learn. It's going to be a learning curve, and in your head, it's like you kind of just need. In your head, like everything has to be perfect. So I
Mhm,
think that's some of the things that like hold highly skilled professionals back. You're right.
mhm,
We're trained to kind of think in a more linear way, whereas I feel like more
mhm.
creative professionals kind of just see things horizontally,
Yeah, yeah.
And I think we're realizing in this world, like honestly, I think the best is to have the highly professional skill set with also a creative mindset. Those combined, no, that's a
Mhm.
beautiful because you can do a lot with that. But
Right.
we tend to lack in that other aspect. So
And
true.
it does become an issue because I don't know if you get this, maybe for you being a doctor, but like, because what happens is then, like, let's say people are like, okay, you're a doctor, so that means you are probably, I don't know, a good cook. Okay, okay, you are a good cook though, but you know what I mean. I was a good cook, all right, people. So bad example, but you know how like people like there's this again like pedestal bias where like people will think like because you're a doctor, you are good elsewhere. And maybe even we as as highly skilled professionals, we think because we are this, it means oh, starting a podcast should only take 10 minutes or something like that. Like we get the lulu about
Mm,
our abilities elsewhere and then we don't realize we also have to start learning how to do those other things as well.
mhm.
Because I've been even myself, I mean, I've caught myself being where I'm like, "Why is this so hard?" And I think I'm just sort of saying to myself, "Wait, I thought I was so smart. Why am I not getting this?" And it's like, "Well, because you haven't spent time doing it." And then sometimes you're like, "Why didn't anyone tell me this?" Because you have been
Right.
studying engineering for the past 6 years and you've been doing the same thing over and over again. So you're just not gaining skills in other areas.
Hmm.
So like there's no way I can tell myself because I'm an engineer I'm going to become the best investor or something. I have to read the books. I have to learn. I have to do the like I have to start almost like starting all over again. But it's one thing that people don't really talk about. I have the confidence to be able to learn, but it takes also time to learn that. So just be wary, guys. Also, if you want to be successful in another thing, just be wary that you actually have to participate in that thing and become
Hmm.
better.
Yeah.
So, yeah, very interesting. I mean, I will say though that to some extent, if you can afford or want to put your money towards delegating those tasks, it works as well.
It does. But it's also good to learn how
Right.
to do it yourself.
That's true.
I think learn how to do it yourself first, then delegate.
That's true. Actually, we do have our own story about even this podcast. We learned how to we tried to delegate our marketing and then it was like, we're going to be scammed here. We don't, or at least, we're not going to be able to, like, just delegating without learning just felt like, oh, we'll never know whether something was easy or hard.
I have a medicine specific one
Okay.
that I think I'm sure it can translate as well in engineering, but I think it's
Mm,
more specific in medicine because we're dealing with people, their lives. But like
mm,
people think we are. Like someone can die and then you can go on with your life, watch anime,
mm.
go for a
Yeah.
party. Like you can literally pronounce someone dead and then be out for a birthday party. And you're fine. And people don't understand that.
Mm,
There's this
yeah.
there's this Instagram, he's a surgeon and he's dancing to a Taylor Swift song, and it's a really fun
Yeah.
song. And then and
Yeah.
like the patient, this might be the worst day of their life because they're in the hospital needing surgery. So
Right.
clearly, but no, the surgeon is just dancing to Taylor Swift. Life is
Yeah.
good. He's enjoying it. And I think the reason why I really identified with that is that
Yeah.
in a sense we have to block off, like we cannot get personally entwined with our patients. Like we can't emotionally
Mm,
get locked in with all our patients because it's not possible. We're dealing with
mm,
your lives in one way or the other.
mhm,
And everyone wants
mhm,
you to they want you to feel that really deep empathy for them, to really understand what they're going
mhm,
through. It's like basically they
mhm,
feel like their life has stopped, kinda, that yours
mhm,
has to
mhm,
stop. You
mhm,
have, and sometimes people get offended when they realize the doctor is just moving on. Like or like the doctor's
mhm,
trying to like hurry you up and move on. And it's
mhm,
like, but it's not possible to attach yourself to all these people. You will find everyone has one or two patients. I'm pretty sure every doctor can say there's about one patient that they really felt attached to. But in general,
yeah,
you need to be thinking straight. So
mm,
yes, I will go on listening to my Taylor Swift song, enjoying my life. And yes, you just declared your grandma was just said she has metastatic cancer, maybe has 6 months to live, and you were crying in there.
mhm,
I walk out of that room, I'm moving on with my life. And it's
mm,
like you have to have that separation because
mhm,
you're not the only patient I'm dealing with. So I have to be able to
mhm,
be like, okay, reset,
mhm,
deal with the other patient. Of course, when I'm talking to you, I'll be empathetic and things like that. Our
yeah,
job, we go to work, we do with it, and we go home.
mm,
So even though we
yeah,
tell you life altering things, our lives still go on. And people find it, I
yeah,
feel like non medicine people find it so hard because
it is hard.
I still feel like people are like, how the hell can you declare someone dead and then you don't feel anything? And I'm like, but you know how many people have declared dead? And then also, it's like, it's just part of life and someone has to do it.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, mm.
what do you have to say, Choy?
Yeah, because it's a tough one. For somebody who is not in medicine, it is a tough one. I think because there is just a natural sensitivity to it, right? Like these are parts of human life that we go through. Like, when someone cracks a joke, you laugh, or when something unfortunate has happened in our life or somebody else's life, it's just like that natural, like, sadness. So there, you just experience like there's just emotional sensitivity with these things.
Mhm,
I think it's that someone has died. Yes, the universe has spoken or God said time's up, depending on where your beliefs are. But there is that of like, okay, this is tough. This is like this is hard because we're not expecting for people to just be like dying like flies, or something like
mhm,
that. So there's that idea, and we're so far removed from, so for people who are not, they're probably experiencing death in a very very long time, hopefully. Hopefully it's not
mhm,
always every year or something like that, but like It's hopefully every like 40 years or 50 years or something, whatever. But for you, it's happening on like an hourly basis, maybe a daily basis, maybe a weekly
Hmm.
basis. So, is there a possibility that you are just removed at this point? I can't tell whether there's a compartmentalization of that emotion of grief, or it's just like it's just gone out the window.
I think it's okay. I think it depends. I think it depends on the doctors because I definitely feel like one thing that everyone can say is compartmentalization. You actually got the word, hit the nail on the head. Because I was
Okay.
trying to get the word that we have to compartmentalize things.
Okay.
We're going to be there crying with you at the time. Sad. I
Mhm.
understand as a human being, you lost your loved one. And I
Mhm.
know if that was me, I would feel sad. But then I cannot, as a doctor, be sitting there crying with you. I have to go and
Mhm.
see another patients. And,
Yeah.
like I have to keep, so that's how you
Yeah.
compartmentalize things. And it
Right.
also keeps you sane as a doctor because
Yeah.
depending on what type of doctor you are, if you're dealing with more
Mhm.
acute issues, you see death more or you see
Mhm.
sick people more
Mhm.
because I would end up in an asylum. So
Mhm.
you have to like compartmentalize things. People get offended
Mhm.
though because they feel like you should be feeling the emotions they're feeling. But again,
Mhm.
I think people should also remember that it's a job. It's not my
Yeah.
life. It's a job.
Yeah.
So I'm going there to work. And yes, it's a job that involves human emotions and human things. So we have to be more catered to that, but it's
Mhm.
still a job.
Yeah.
So just I don't feel what you feel doesn't mean I also don't empathize
Mhm.
with you. But
Yeah. The other thing that you're also experiencing probably is pedestal bias in the sense that you are a doctor. So you are like the life manager. You are like between the patient and God. And you are somehow trying to negotiate with God not to take this person. You are it. You are the last resort before someone may have to depart this earth. We talked about this in one of the other episodes as well, that you are the point where people's regrets, memories, family problems all come to you.
yeah,
So, in a way, it's kind of like people are saying, Doctor, do something. Like, do something because, or tell, tell the main man, the man upstairs, like, okay, I just need like another 30 days, perhaps. Like, maybe I need to sign some documents, like a will or something, or I don't know, whatever people is, I need to say, I love you to my loved one. So, I think and then I think when you and then here you come into the patient's room and you're like, "Yeah, it's tough." And they are expecting I don't know, I think they just want more.
it's because that's remember what I said a couple episodes back where I say doctors are
Yes.
not your therapists.
Yeah.
You that burden on us, but you also want us to
Yeah.
physically heal you in a clear
Right.
space. I can't be
True.
there sitting there listening to your drama and being your therapist, emotional therapist,
Yeah.
because I have to be like, okay,
Mhm.
this is happening. What do I need to do? Let me.
Mhm.
It's a very
Right.
hard concept to grasp for a lot of people. But
Yeah.
sometimes I do tell my patients, like if my patients feel like, oh, you cut me off, I tell them, do you want me to
Mhm.
actually? Because the
Mhm.
brain needs
Yeah.
to figure it out.
Right. I think one way I can relate to it is small talk when I'm doing my work as well. Or like when someone is giving me information that I already know, I almost want them to speed it up because I'm like, okay, tell me new information because what you're telling me is already, it's in my brain. Like, move on, move on. And it's like, I get so, like, I need new information because I want to be done with this work. So I can relate to that level of like, there's such a high level of objectivity in our careers and any form of subjectivity or like just things that are coming in like I can only imagine like you are trying to figure out what's going with the patient and they want to tell you what happened in 1955
Mm,
and you're
mm.
like oh no, this is not the day, this is not the day, and so I can only imagine that like, oh, this is frustrating. But I guess the thing that I can say about it is it sounds like we need to be conscious of also burnout, because when do you feel after seeing so many deaths or pronouncing people dead and telling families, it's a lot of tragic stuff on a daily basis. So when do you actually say to yourself, I've had enough, I need a 3-week vacation and no one should call me or text me again, this zone of nothingness? Because I think that's something we probably are bound to experience. Even in engineering, people
Mhm.
can work overtime, you
Exactly.
know, and stuff like that. So
I feel
there's
like you
that
guys
stuff.
work overtime a lot more too.
Yeah, sometimes when there's a deadline, I don't even like using the word deadline, due dates, because there's actually a history around the word deadline, but I like using
Oh.
the word due dates. Yeah, it was basically something to do with, it was the line where if you crossed it, people were told to shoot or something like that. Look it up.
Oh.
Yes, yes,
Oh.
yes. It's not a good word. It's not a good word, people. Um, so but yeah, usually when we have due dates and they need to be done, you can find yourself overworking. You obviously feel like, okay, I should have done this earlier, but it's just humanness. You have a due date and you have to get it done. So there's a potential for burnout. There's definitely a high potential for burnout.
Mhm. And then
Um,
I feel like for highly skilled professionals, it takes a lot more for you to realize you're burnt out. Because you're just used to working on a higher level of everything.
yes.
It takes like kind of the world crashing or something major
Yes.
happening for you to be like,
Yes.
oh, I'm burnt out. And this is actually symptoms of burnout. Because you might think about the common symptoms of burnout, but I feel like they don't appear the same way in high
Hmm.
because we just know how to push past a lot of the basic discomforts and things like we're
Hmm.
just used to pushing past things. So it takes
Hmm.
burnout will show out in very insidious ways that you'll ignore until you just can't ignore it.
No, absolutely. And funny, sometimes it shows up in weird ways where if you're like relatively healthy, something will break down. Your body will just give in and it will just say, you know
Mhm.
what? Time's up.
Mhm.
And then you'll be like, wait, for some reason, I've been having this, like, I don't know, chest pains or like just something odd, something so odd. And you're like, why is this happening? And if it's for some other people, they have relationship breakdowns, and the next thing you know, your partner is asking for a divorce or something. Like, there's a lot of, you're right. I definitely understand that. Like, it would take someone literally telling you, or something in your body happening, or there's something in the news or somewhere, just sort of where, yes, your life has to come to a pause. And I think I have seen people, and probably even online on YouTube, where somebody was highly skilled, making so much money, and then they decided to give it up all for, like, I don't know, to become somebody that does something else, like a creative person, or they go to a monastery and chill and meditate. So it does, there is a possibility for that. And maybe there's pride as well. Like,
Mhm.
oh, I can do this. I can do this.
That's part of the problem. That pride is part of
Mhm.
the problem. But you're getting signs, here and there that no, you need to slow down.
Yeah. No, that's a very interesting, it is what it is. And honestly, another thing that made me come to mellow this out is I realized that there is pedestal bias with what we have, because obviously we are, say, either you're saving lives or creating systems for everybody to use.
Mhm.
And we are part of, like you just said, it's a job, right? So we're literally just part of a market, and our value is just higher up. Just like the same way gold is higher in value than silver, but they're both like whatever, metals, minerals. So it's not, so it's already to some extent there's a human element to it, because so I wonder sometimes if we're just like, it's just natural that we're doing this. Also, we're just living up to some expectation of like, this is who I am now. Because just because you're like intelligent doesn't mean you need to like do, it's a gift from God, and use it the way you want to use it. But then when it starts to control your life, then that's a problem. That's what I'm trying to say. Okay. All right. Wow. Okay. We have definitely ironed this one out. I guess to our listeners, I hope this has given you a taste of what it's like to be in our worlds or in the STEM world. We would love to know about what other people go through and some of the realities. There's so many jobs out there, but it would be nice to know from you guys, our listeners, like, what are some of your unspoken truths where your life or your career might look glamorous or might be desirable, but underneath it all, there's so much stuff going on? Do share that with us on all the major platforms where our podcast is. So, like Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and YouTube. So, as you guys already know, we are now starting to do video. So, you can watch us on YouTube as well. And if you want to write to us, you can certainly do so. We look forward to hearing from you. The feminine outliers at gmail.com. So, yeah, this has been a very fun episode, and we look forward to seeing you next time. So, until next time, have fun, live large, and don't be afraid to be an outlier.